Expert news and views on the Lowcountry real estate scene. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, folks, to the last few minutes of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. If you're just joining us, we've kind of covered a lot of ground already today. We've talked about buying homes and HOAs, do's and don'ts, questions to ask. We've talked about staging and whether that actually works. Does it actually make you money? Are there some creative solutions to going out and renting a bunch of furniture? The answer is yes. And then now we're talking about some things that you should just never say to a buyer. If you find yourself in a situation where you're selling your house and they start to chit-chat with you, they bring up small talk, right? There's a design, I promise you, for the majority of agents out there that want to get you talking. They want to get something out of you so they can use it against you. You've got to keep your cards close to your vest. And if you've hired an agent, then you can simply say, I'm sorry, I'm leaving now. I've got to run. Please direct all your questions to my real estate agent. And hopefully you're working with a real estate agent that knows how to play the game as well and keep their cards close to the vest. Because I'm here to tell you, any offer that I get, I talk with that real estate agent. I ask them questions to better understand what's important to that buyer or what's important to that seller so that I can craft a scenario that has the highest likelihood of us getting the best deal possible. So you just be really careful if you're a seller out there. And as a side note, if you're a buyer and you are out and about looking at properties and you're just out there calling listing agents, be careful what you tell them. The same rule applies. What you say can and will be held against you. They don't owe you really anything. I mean, they owe you very little in terms of the difference between a customer and a client. Or as a customer, they owe you very little. But, if they're asking you a bunch of questions and you're giving them a bunch of information, they're going to, guess what, turn right around and tell that to the seller. So just be careful. So let's just continue down this list. If you were to say something like, oh, yeah, well, the roof is new, or the HVAC is new, or the siding is new, or the windows are new. New is a relative term. A 2-year-old roof might set off a potential buyer. Now, of course, there's the property condition disclosure statement that everybody fills out when they sell a property that shows the age of those types of important features of your home, roof, HVAC, so on and so forth. But just let's get away from using the word new because of the amount of lawsuits, quite frankly, that are filed against people that misrepresent facts. It's all about what they heard. And can you prove it as a seller that you disclosed the true material nature of that particular item? It's a slippery slope. So get away from using the word new. You just use the date in which it was installed or modified. Maybe another thing to say is, you can't have everything. There are buyers out there that are always looking for the perfect home, and you as a seller might think that you're the one to try and bring them back down to reality. And you're probably right. Most home buyers have to make a choice between, a master suite or a large yard or a double car garage versus maybe a more affluent neighborhood. Who knows? But it's not your job to kind of tell a buyer where they should compromise. It's their agents to suggest what they can and cannot afford based on their wish list, and for them to understand that, hey, if you want all of these things, this is what it's going to cost. But buyers are notorious for having somewhat unrealistic expectations about the type of home that they're going to be able to afford in their price bracket. This is, however, their dream, and it's important that you don't kind of disillusion them before their agent has a chance to help them make a sensible decision. Another thing that I would shy away from saying is that we're a bit short on storage or kitchen space or fill in the blank. Honesty awareness campaigners may applaud you for truth telling, but what you're actually doing is really undermarketing your property. Yeah, sure, there are things about your home that might annoy the heck out of you, but your job as a home seller is to showcase your home in its best possible light, not to point out its flaws. You just don't need to go there. You may be moving because you can't fit a table in the kitchen. Who knows? But your buyer, on the other hand, may be renting a tiny studio apartment, and they would be ecstatic to have a kitchen with a room that size to fit their little circular table. Maybe it's just a husband and wife. They don't plan on having kids. You don't know what the buyer's situation is. I'll tell you another thing that's really important not to tell a buyer if you're going to sell your home, and that is, we're under contract to buy another house. Being under contract for a new home means that you're motivated to sell quickly. It also means that you have a lot to lose if you can't sell your current home. And buyers know this. They've probably been through this. And they might be tempted to throw in a lowball offer because they think you're desperate to sell. That should be probably toward the top of the list. They don't need to know that you're under contract to buy a house. Just like when I call and I ask for information on a buyer and the agent tells me that they've sold their home in Charlotte and they're living in a hotel and this is the third home they've made an offer on and they keep getting, they keep missing out and they're living out of a hotel. I mean, of course, when I relay that to the seller, we're going to incorporate that into our negotiating strategy and we're going to use that against them. It's, we're going to use everything we have at our disposal legally, ethically, responsibly to do the best job that I can for my client and their bottom line. Last thing here, and this is a bit of a no-brainer, but people will ask, especially if you're a for sale by owner. This is a really common question that agents will ask you. I'm assuming that you're negotiable on your price. I mean, that's a big yikes. Of all the kind of foot in the mouth comments that a seller could make, price conversations probably strike the most fear into listing agents' hearts because smart sellers negotiate. So being flexible on the price is a good thing, but price is just one component of a great offer. Giving way on the price without considering the rest of the offer means you might be losing out on, valuable cash or giving a buyer false hope of a deal that's just never going to happen. Your agent is a buffer between you and the buyer, and they're there to protect your investment. So rely on your agent. Make sure that when you're hiring somebody that you get the sense that they know how to carry themselves. They know how to negotiate. They've got a great track record of negotiating. They're selling a lot of real estate. And you can look at the difference between the list price and the sales price. You can look at how quickly they sell things, how many price reductions they need to make before they sell something. And it gives you a lot of indication on what type of agent you're going to be working with. Now, if you'd like to reach out to me, you're considering selling your home, of course, we'd love to earn your business. My number is 843-800-0065. That's 843-800-0065. Or go to listingsincharleston.com. Stay safe, enjoy your weekend, Charleston, and thanks for listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show next Saturday morning at 9 and Sunday morning at 10. Contact Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009.